Imagine your life, your wealth, your future, all dictated by a government thousands of miles away. They don't listen to you, they ignore your voice, and they constantly reach into your pocket to take your money. Would you stand for it? That was the critical question facing millions of people in the American colonies in the 1770s. Their choices were simple, yet terrifying. Submit to a distant empire or fight for something precious that had never truly existed, liberty and self-government. This is the incredible true story of how a small group of ambitious visionaries took on the world's most powerful military machine and won the right to define their own destiny. The story, the Oath of Liberty and the Impossible War. 1. The core principle. No taxation without representation. The spark of the American Revolution was fueled by a simple yet profound principle. No taxation without representation. The British Parliament passed a series of acts, the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, and the notorious Tea Act, that levied taxes on the colonists without giving them a single representative voice in Westminster. The colonists saw themselves as free-born British citizens entitled to the same fundamental rights as those living in England. When those rights were violated, they adopted a radical idea. If a government fails to protect the rights of the people have the inherent right to overthrow it. These ideals were brilliantly codified by Thomas Jefferson in the Declaration of Independence, which stated the undeniable truth that all men are created equal and are endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. 2. The architects of revolution, the Founding Fathers. The success of the revolution hinged on a remarkable group of leaders known as the Founding Fathers. They were a collection of lawyers, merchants, planters, and intellectuals who dared to dream of a republic. Thomas Jefferson, the principal author of the Declaration, whose powerful words gave the revolution its moral and philosophical foundation. John Adams, a fiercely determined lawyer from Massachusetts and one of the revolution's most articulate political voices, tirelessly pushing for separation. Benjamin Franklin, the aged statesman, scientist, and diplomat who secured the essential military and financial support from France, a key turning point in the war. James Madison and Alexander Hamilton. Though playing major roles later, they were crucial in defining the structure of the new government, drafting the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. It was this collection of minds that came together in the Continental Congress and on July 4, 1776, formally declared their political bonds with Great Britain dissolved. 3. George Washington, the indispensable general. With the Declaration signed, the real war began. The most critical decision the Founding Fathers made was selecting George Washington to lead the ragtag Continental Army. His role transcended that of a mere general. A. Holding the army together. Compared to the highly trained, well-equipped British Army, Washington's forces were pathetic, a constantly shifting band of farmers and militiamen. Washington knew they couldn't win by outfighting the British, they had to win by outlasting them. He became the living symbol of the cause, the single person whose presence kept the fragile army from simply dissolving. B. The turning point at Trenton. The early years of the war were a string of American losses. In December 1776, with enlistments expiring and morale shattered, Washington made his most desperate and brilliant move. On Christmas night, he led his men across the icy Delaware River in a treacherous crossing and launched surprise attacks on British mercenary forces at Trenton and Princeton. These vital victories revived the shattered American spirit, convincing the troops and the nation that the fight was still alive. C. The endurance of Valley Forge. The winter of 1777 to 1778 at Valley Forge was the ultimate test of survival. Thousands of soldiers died from cold, starvation, and disease. Yet Washington remained. By enduring the same brutal conditions as his men, he fostered an incredible sense of loyalty and patriotism. He transformed a freezing, starving mob into a disciplined military force, proving that their commitment to the cause was stronger than any hardship. 4. Victory and the unprecedented act. The struggle culminated in 1781 at the Battle of Yorktown. With combined American and French forces, Washington cornered the British Army under General Cornwallis, forcing a surrender that effectively ended the war. But it was what Washington did next that truly secured the principles of the Revolution. With the country secure, he held immense power. The world expected him to crown himself king or dictator. Instead, Washington did the unprecedented. He resigned his commission and went home to his farm at Mount Vernon. This single act of humility and surrender of power shocked the world and cemented the principle that in the new republic, the military would always be subordinate to civilian government. The dream of the Founding Fathers was realized. A new nation, founded on the principles of liberty, equality, and self-rule, was born from the ashes of colonial oppression. Your takeaway: Washington's selflessness, the resolve of the Founding Fathers, and the endurance of the Continental Army created the United States. What part of the Revolutionary War story do you think is most forgotten, yet most important to remember today?